My name is Elena Vargas, but everyone calls me Lena. I am 29 years old. Last Thanksgiving, my father stood up in front of 30 family members and punished me like a disobedient child. Simply because I dared to ask what my grandmother had left me in her will. The entire room laughed. I looked him straight in the eyes and said only one word. Okay. The next morning when he came looking for me, the room was empty, no clothes, no suitcase, no me. Before he could call me, the doorbell rang. At the door stood Mr. Diego Castillo, my grandmother's lawyer, holding a briefcase full of documents my father never knew existed. Mr. Castillo, he said, what have you done? I have to take you back to the beginning. My grandmother Rosa Vargas passed away on a Tuesday morning at the age of 87. I drove to the hospital in silence, only the sound of rain on the windshield and my own breathing. When I arrived, my father Don Javier Castillo was already in the hallway. Retired judge, 63 years old. He was not crying, he was on the phone discussing legal deadlines. My brother Alejandro stood beside him. They formed a wall. I stayed alone at the back of the hallway. The last time I had seen grandmother Rosa was in her garden. She took my hand with surprising strength and whispered, I have taken my precautions. Trust me. I did not understand then. Not yet. The funeral was 3 days later. My father gave the eulogy. 11 minutes about family legacy. He mentioned Alejandro 4 times. My mother once. And me not at all. In the condolence line, someone asked what I did for a living. My father leaned in from behind. She designs gardens for rich people. Some people laughed. An older man with silver hair and golden glasses took my hand. Your grandmother was very proud of you. We will be in touch. Then he disappeared. It was Mr. Diego Castillo. He held the key to everything. That night the family gathered in the colonial house. My father raised his glass and announced he would manage all the assets. His eyes landed on me. You do not have to worry about anything, Lena. Complex things are not your thing. He cut me off when I tried to protest. Mother looked confused at the end. Whatever she promised you, forget it. After dinner I went up to my old room. I opened the nightstand drawer out of habit and found an envelope that had not been there before. My name written in my grandmother's trembling but deliberate handwriting. Inside was a 2-page letter and a partial photocopy of a document headed, Irrevocable Trust Agreement. Rosa Vargas, grantor, was highlighted in yellow halfway down the page. Beneficiary, Elena Vargas. The letter said, Lena, if you are reading this, I am gone and your father is already doing what I knew he would do. I am sorry. Men like your father do not listen to women. They only listen to documents. The original trust is with my lawyer Mr. Diego Castillo. Do not show it to anyone. Wait for the right moment. Mr. Castillo will know what to do. You will always be my architect. The one who builds. Do not let them break you. With all my love, grandmother. I read it with tears running down my face. The photocopy was incomplete. I could not use it as proof. But for the first time in years I felt someone had believed in me and put it in writing. Weeks later, while checking email, I saw a message from Alejandro. Not meant for me, accidentally forwarded. It was a chain of messages. Alejandro had drafted a court petition to change me as beneficiary. The stated reason was my financial incompetence. My brother had written that about me in legal language to present before a court. But the line that blurred my vision was at the end. She will not fight. She never fights anything. That is the beauty of it. Dad. I sat there for a long time. Then I took screenshots of everything and saved them in multiple places. I called my mother. Tell Dad I will be at Thanksgiving. I was going back, but not to reconcile. The next day I called Mr. Diego Castillo's office. Miss Vargas, Mr. Castillo has been expecting you, the receptionist said. 2 hours later I sat across from him, the man from the funeral. Your grandmother asked me 8 years ago to create an irrevocable trust with you as the sole beneficiary. He said. He slid the document toward me. Original cream paper, red notarial seal, 620,000 euros. Irrevocable means your father cannot change the beneficiary without your consent. Also, there is one more thing. Your grandmother left you the coastal cottage. Included in the trust. Your father never read the full document. The cottage where we spent every summer was left to me. I exhaled, the first full breath in weeks. Mr. Castillo continued. Your father filed a petition to change the beneficiary to Alejandro. He told the court he could not locate you. I showed him the emails. He read them without expression. This is a deliberate breach of fiduciary duty. If you want to fight, you have everything you need. I want to fight. When? At Thanksgiving. He invited the whole family. 30 people. He gave one slow nod. On Thanksgiving Day, 32 people filled the house. My father at the head of the table with his courtroom voice. This gathering is special. We have lost mother, but the Castillo family stands strong. My greatest pride is my son Alejandro, who just won the most important case of his career. Applause. They had seated me at the small table between a 9-year-old cousin and an empty chair. Aunt Margarita raised her voice. And Lena, any good news? Lena is still finding her way, my father said without looking at me. But every family needs someone to remind us not to take the wrong path. Right, Lena. Laughter spread across both tables like a wave. The 9-year-old boy next to me whispered, "Are you okay?" I passed him a bread roll. Later, while washing dishes, Alejandro leaned against the doorframe with a wine glass dangling from 2 fingers. "You should thank Dad for letting you sit at the table." I did not turn around. I kept washing, but something in me, a thread pulled tight for 29 years, began to vibrate. "Alejandro," I said calmly, "do you know what grandmother left me?" The silence behind me changed texture. When I looked over my shoulder, his face was completely rigid. He left without saying a word. 10 minutes later, my father's voice boomed from the living room. I walked in. 32 faces stared at me. "Have you threatened your brother with the will? Do you think you can manipulate this family?" His voice was the judicial baritone designed to make people feel small. "You are grounded. Go to your room." The room exploded, not in protest, in laughter. 32 adults laughing because Don Javier Castillo had just grounded his 29-year-old daughter. My face burned. I looked for my mother. Linda stood in the corner staring at her hands in silence. No one spoke up. No one said enough. Only laughter. I looked at my father. His finger pointed toward the stairs. "Go now." I held his gaze for 3 full seconds. Then I said in a voice so calm it surprised even me. "Okay." I turned, walked upstairs, closed the door, picked up the phone and called Mr. Diego Castillo. "Mr. Castillo, I need you to bring the originals tomorrow at 8. A pause. Then his calm, measured voice. "I will be there." I set the alarm for 4 and sat in the darkness listening to the laughter floating up from below. Laugh. Enjoy. It is the last time. I left at 4:15 without drama. Without slamming doors. I packed in the dark and went downstairs in socks. The only thing I left was grandmother's photo on the nightstand. Face down. My cousin Daniel later told me what happened inside. My father came down at 7:30 looking like he was presiding over a meeting. "Someone wake Lena. She has an apology to make." No one moved. He went up himself, knocked twice, opened the door. The bed was made, the closet empty. The room held nothing of me except grandmother's photograph face down. A period. He came down slowly. "Lena is gone," he announced in a flat voice. "She left like a coward." Alejandro smiled. "Well, that settles everything." He was going to announce the distribution at 10. But since the only one who could object had fled, the doorbell rang. My mother opened the door and on the porch in a grey suit with a leather briefcase stood Mr. Diego Castillo. "I am Diego Castillo, lawyer for Rosa Vargas. I need to speak with the entire family right now." Mr. Castillo entered like one enters a courtroom, without haste, completely sure of his authority. He placed the briefcase on the table and opened it without sitting. My father stood up. "You were not invited. This is my house. This is the house Rosa Vargas built and I am here for my fiduciary duty to the beneficiary of her trust. Lena is the sole named beneficiary of an irrevocable trust. You have known this since the day your mother signed it." The room was so still you could have heard the air conditioning. 3 rooms away my mother was in cognitive decline. Signed before 2 witnesses and accompanied by a medical evaluation confirming full mental competence. "Leave my house, Mr. Castillo." "What have you done?" My father lunged. "This is trespassing. I will call the police." "You may, and when they arrive I will show them the petition you filed claiming you could not locate the beneficiary. The beneficiary who was sleeping in this house last night." Don Javier's face went through a sequence, red, then white, then a grey I had never seen on a living person. Alejandro tried to intervene. "Mr. Castillo, any document can be challenged in the appropriate legal forum. You drafted the petition." Mr. Castillo's voice was calm and surgical. "To change the beneficiary for your family's benefit. I have the emails." Alejandro's composure did not break. It evaporated. Aunt Margarita stood up. "Javier, let the man speak." A murmur of agreement ran through the room. My father looked around and saw that the audience he had gathered for his performance was no longer his. "Get out." Don Javier's voice cracked. Leave now or I will have you arrested. Mr. Castillo looked at him for a long moment. Then he closed the briefcase with a deliberate click. I will leave, but I will return at 2 for the formal reading of the estate which you yourself scheduled. It is in your own calendar. He stopped at the threshold. And I will not come alone. At 2:15 I entered through the kitchen. Through the arch I saw my father standing by the fireplace with a sheet of paper in his hand held like a verdict. The family trust will be consolidated under my management. The education fund will go to Alejandro. As for Lena, a compassionate little smile. Mother wanted her to have a gesture of goodwill. 5,000 euros. I took out the folder and entered the room. Behind me, Mr. Diego Castillo entered silently. The prodigal daughter returns to apologize to your brother. No, my voice was firm, calm, in a way that surprised me. I am here to hear the will. The real one. I placed the folder on the table and turned toward the room. Toward the people, not toward my father. I am sorry for the interruption. But what you just heard is not my grandmother's will. It is a distribution plan my father wrote himself. I put my hand on the folder. This is the original irrevocable trust of Rosa Vargas. My grandmother designated a single beneficiary. I paused. Me. Absolute silence. Not the polite silence of a family gathering. The silence of a room full of people who just realized they were witnessing something that could not be undone. My father's face lost all color at once. Let her speak, said Aunt Margarita with a clear, firm voice. Mr. Castillo held the original document high for the room to see. Red notarial seal on cream paper. This is the irrevocable trust of Rosa Vargas. Executed 8 years ago before 2 independent witnesses. Trust corpus, 620,000 euros. Additionally, the property at Hidalgo Street 4714 will transfer to the beneficiary upon the grantor's passing. An audible collective gasp swept the room. The house, someone whispered from the back row. She left her the house. Mr. Castillo held the emails high and read the line engraved in my memory. She will not fight. She never fights anything. That is the beauty of it. Dad. The room turned toward Alejandro. Completely rigid, his wife slowly withdrew her arm from under his hand. I was confused, my father said, but the words came out worn. Her doctor confirmed full cognitive competence the same week of the signing. Rosa Vargas was more lucid than most people in this room. From the back, Great Aunt Judith, 81 years old, spoke softly. Rosa told me about the trust 8 years ago. She said Javier would try. But I have made sure he cannot. She knew. She always knew. My father looked around. They no longer looked at him with respect. They looked at him like something rotten inside. He turned to Alejandro. The alliance they had built for 33 years collapsed in a single sentence. Say something. You are the lawyer. Do something. Alejandro answered quietly. Dad, irrevocable means irrevocable. It cannot be challenged. I told you from the beginning. You told me you had it under control. My father's hand struck the back of a chair with a dry crack. You told me she would never find out. And there it was, in front of 30 witnesses. My father confirmed every detail Mr. Castillo had presented. The wine glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. The dark liquid spread slowly toward the carpet. No one moved to clean it. Then the aggression drained from him. His voice lowered, his shoulders dropped, and he turned to me with bright eyes. Lena, darling, I was only trying to protect the family. I did it because I love you. I looked at the man who had called my career a joke. Who had seated me at the children's table. Who had grounded me at 29 in front of everyone. Who had lied to a court claiming he could not locate me when I was sleeping under his own roof. I let the silence last 3 seconds. You did not do this because you love me, Dad. You did it because you never believed a daughter deserves the same as a son. And that is not love. That is control. My mother stood up, her face wet, her hands shaking. She looked at my father, the man beside whom she had kept silent for 35 years. You owe her an apology, Javier. You have owed her one her whole life. The room held its breath. My father said nothing. He turned, walked into his study and closed the door. In the weeks that followed, everything fell into place. The court removed Don Javier as trustee. He did not contest it. The 620,000 euros were transferred to my account. The deed to the Hidalgo Street house was put in my name. Alejandro received a suspension from the Bar Association and lost his main client. My father called me only once. You have destroyed this family, he said. No, Dad, you destroyed it. I only provided the proof. He hung up. I have not heard from him since. 2 weeks after the resolution, I drove to the house with a single key on a brass keychain. It is yours. Mr. Castillo had said simply. Those 2 words undid me more than anything that had happened. I turned the key. The door opened to the foyer and the smell hit me first. Wood wax, old books, lavender. The house breathed differently without my father's presence, as if it was finally resting. Then the garden. I knelt, pressed my palms against the cold earth and closed my eyes. I will fix it, grandmother. I will bring it back. Shortly after I drove to the coastal cottage. I had not been there in 6 years. Weathered cedar siding, porch wrapping around 2 sides. Salty air so thick I could taste it. On the table was a wooden box. Inside, photographs of the 2 of us from my 5 to my 22 years. Planting in the dunes, building forts from driftwood, both in matching rain boots, smiling like fools. Beneath them a short letter. Lena, if you are reading this, you were brave enough. I knew you would be. This house is yours. It always was. I was just keeping it warm for you. Start again here if you need to. Or come when the world is too much. Either way it will be waiting. I am so proud of you. Always, grandmother. I sat on the porch and cried. Not like in the family house. Choked and ashamed. It was the kind of cry that opens something instead of closing it. The kind that leaves you lighter, not emptier. 6 months later spring had arrived and the garden was coming back to life. I had spent the winter on my knees in the earth. Pruning, cleaning, letting in the light. The roots had survived the neglect. They just needed someone to cut away the dead weight. I understood the feeling very well. I paid off my student debt in full. I rented a small studio. Landscape Design Vargas. My name on the door. I turned my father's old office into my design studio. I replaced his legal volumes with plant guides and seed catalogs. My mother came to visit one Thursday in April. The first time she entered the house without my father. We planted tulip bulbs along the driveway side by side and that was enough. One morning when I returned to the garden there was an envelope on the porch. No stamp, no return address, only my name. I opened it. One single line. I am sorry I never stood by your side. I stand now, Mom. I folded the letter and put it in my coat pocket next to grandmother's. 2 letters, 2 women, one who planned ahead and one who finally stood up. I tell you this story from the porch of the coastal cottage. The tide is low, the ocean is grey, vast and indifferent to everything that happened in that living room. I do not tell you this to teach you a lesson. I can only tell you what I did. Silence is not agreement. I spent 29 years silent at the family table and the people around me took that silence and called it contentment. It was not. It was simply a woman who had not yet found her proof. Waiting is not weakness. My father and my brother counted on me not fighting. They were almost right. They did not calculate the difference between someone who cannot fight and someone who is choosing when. And most importantly, my grandmother did not leave me money. She left me proof. Proof that someone in my family saw the real me and decided I deserved to be protected. Not with words, with documents, with plans, with the kind of love that thinks 8 years ahead. That is the inheritance that changed my life. Not the money, not the houses, the knowledge that I deserved that much effort. The architecture poster still hangs on the wall of my studio. I look at it every morning and think of the girl who put it up at 16. Who wanted to build beautiful things and was told she was not enough. She was enough. She always was enough. She just needed the documents to prove it. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.